It is often stated that there is a disconnect between the English that learners learn in the language classroom and the English that they need outside the classroom in real context. In this module, we'll talk about how to bridge this gap between the language classroom and the outside world, and how culture can be used in the classroom for facilitating English language learning. One reason for the disconnect between the classroom and the outside world is the detachment of textbooks from the learner's world. Learners often read textbooks which are brought out by publishers from native English speaking countries, and therefore they have representations from their own country. So what learners see are unknown settings and unfamiliar characters. For example, there will be Australian, Canadian, American settings. They may read about a Mr. Brown shopping for broccoli in a greengrocer's shop. Now, the name, the vegetable, the grocery shop, everything is alien for the learners. Therefore, they are unable to understand what is going on and how to use the English that they learn in the classroom in their own context, where there's no broccoli, no Mr. Brown, and the greengrocer's shops are also very different. Then the disconnect between the textbook and the learner can be overcome by producing textbooks which take care of both the local needs as well as the global needs of the learners. So what is suggested is a global textbook. This term was suggested by John Gray and is quoted by Baumgartner in the Handbook of World Englishes. So a global textbook will be a textbook which is based on the local culture of the learners, as well as includes knowledge of the original context of the English language, and tries to enable the learners to adapt the knowledge of the English language and apply it to their own context. So what we need is not international textbooks which are meant only for monolingual English learners, or which are brought out by monolingual English language textbook writers, etc., but a book which takes care of the local needs of the learners as well as keeps them informed about the original context, gives them knowledge about the original context of English language. Therefore, the teachers should also have to have an awareness of the issues related to world Englishes. The textbook writers, the materials writers, the teachers, they all need to be aware of the issues related to world Englishes, that is, the use of English in contexts other than the native English speaking context. If we look at the current status and role of English, we see that it is used as a lingua franca, and it is used in diverse settings. For example, it's not only used in native English speaking countries, but in different countries. And when it comes to its use in non-native English speaking countries, it's not restricted to a certain kind of countries or a few limited countries only. For example, it is used in several Asian countries, Muslim countries, non-Muslim countries, Asian countries which are situated in East Asia, and countries which are situated in South Asia. So English is being used in extremely diverse settings now. And when it is used as a lingua franca, it implies that it is used between non-native speakers. For example, it is used among people who do not share a common language. So it is not that one of the speakers is English speaking and the other speaker is non-native English speaker, but all those who use English do not have a common first language. They do not have English, none of them has English as their first language. It is used among people who are all non-native English speakers. And because of this use of English by people who belong to different cultures other than native English speaking culture, English has now adopted multicultural identities. English does not now belong to the culture of the native English speakers only, but it belongs to several different cultures now. So English has multicultural identities now. And this adoption of multicultural identities by English has caused deep social linguistic shifts. Because now English is used in these diverse settings for functions which it was never used before. For example, there are several functions for which English is used, let's say in Asian countries, in India and Pakistan, functions for which it was not used by native English speakers. So because of all these reasons, there has been a socio-linguistic shift in English. And because of this socio-linguistic shift, many people are now motivated to learn English for instrumental reasons, not for integrative reasons. They do not want to learn English because they want to be identified with English culture, because English is no longer linked with if the British or the American culture only. It is linked with several different cultures. It has multicultural identities now. Therefore, people are not integratively motivated to learn English. They are instrumentally motivated. They have clear-cut reasons for learning English. And therefore, it is very important that the reasons for which people want to learn English, those reasons should be catered to. And this can be done when the local culture is infused in the classroom, when local culture is used in the classroom, so that it becomes easier for people, for the learners, to use English outside the classroom as well in their real cultural contexts. So what is needed is the appropriation of English, the appropriating of English for different cultures. The English should be adapted for use in different cultures. This cultural gap that we see between the English, the original English culture, and the new cultures in which it is used, it makes language learning very difficult. The learners have two-pronged struggle now. On one hand, they are already struggling to learn a new language, and on the other hand, they also have to first understand the alien setting, the alien characters. So their job becomes double difficult, very difficult. So what is needed is selection of local cultural context for the textbooks. The textbook writers and materials writers, they should select content which is based on local cultures, local contexts. It is not only difficult for the learners to understand the English language when it is presented through alien cultures, it also becomes difficult for teachers. There have been times when some teacher trainees have shared with me as well that they have difficulty understanding the context, and therefore it becomes very difficult for them to teach what they do not understand themselves. Because the culture is equally alien to them. It is as alien to them as it is for their students. So for better understanding and the easier use of English and English language teaching to have better outcomes, it is very important that the textbooks are used, the textbooks use local culture in their settings, and also this culture, the local culture, is used in the classroom settings by English language teachers.